Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's time for our weekly visit to the GR Buttkicker Cup official series. We're racing at Winton here for week 3 of 2024 season 2. And it's a very foggy Winton that greets us here today. To bring it to you all live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick, it's me, Reese Gardner, with Scott Rankin alongside me in the comms box. We got Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, pressing all the buttons as per usual. Well, Scott, Winton Motor Raceway, it's a track that if you're in the Oz NZ region, you know about. If you're international, you probably have a bit more of a polarized opinion on this track. Certainly has elicited some strong opinions from those outside of Australia, but I think it suits these cars pretty well.
Yeah, these cars it's absolutely good for. Anything bigger than this, I recall when the track first launched on iRacing, one of the first few weeks it was on iRacing, VRS GT3 series went here. Boy, did that kick up some drama. There was not many people who liked it then, and that's a fair equivalent. You need a car that wiggles around. You need a car that's a little bit unstable. You need a car that allows the driver to really be at the peak, and the reason for that is look at the number of turns and look at the number of small straights in between. It's short, it's tight, the track's not very wide. I really feel like it's just sort of a shrunk down, the best way to describe it is a flattened, shrunk down version of Brands Hatch. Oh, hey, look, that's where we were last week.
Indeed. There's an awful lot of overtaking opportunities around here, particularly into turn 1, turn 10 and 11. And you can't forget the triple hairpin section of 7, 8 and 9 at the back end of the lap. I'm sure that there's going to be quite a few spins there as these drivers struggle to get the best out of the rear ends of these Toyota GR86 Cup cars. But a straight up 15-minute race we've got ahead of us. The drivers are in qualifying at the moment, and it is the same settings as we've seen in terms of session times for every other week and every week to come. But changeable weather, including the possibility of rain. It doesn't look like there's any rain currently forecast, but as you can see, it is very foggy. It's currently coming up to 8 a.m. in sim time, and for March in Victoria, that seems pretty accurate.
Yeah, foggy. I mean, it is definitely getting, kind of cold up and around this region at the moment. I'm just a little bit too far north, so I don't necessarily get a whole bunch of the fog, but I've definitely got the temperature starting to come down up in around the Griffith region. So conditions are rather accurate. One of the big things drivers are going to struggle with here tonight, even with a 2-lap qualifying session, is getting enough temperature into those tires. It's going to be right on the limit. That second lap, you'll just be starting to get the temperature into the tires, won't completely and utterly stabilize, and lap times are going to be difficult to come by. It's going to be a race, I feel, with only 15 minutes on the clock. Remember, you're going to have to be aggressive to try and grab those positions early. Going to have to be a master of cold tires. If you lose an opportunity on cold tires, your race is basically pretty much done. But again, don't forget, car with a soft suspension, car that rolls over, slow car, momentum does matter. The benefit of Winton, the real strength of the drivers that'll do well here, crossover moves, the ability to set somebody up, get them to block and cover you. And I always say to people with these smaller capacity cars, I want people to block me. I absolutely do. Gives me the opportunity to go for the momentum and switch back on them. It creates really, really good racing, and I think we've seen that thus far in the Toyota GR86 series.
Yeah, absolutely. We should see more of the same here tonight. There's quite a few names that we recognize in top split this time around. Ewan Baker currently on top of the qualifying standings. We've got the elusive Mitchell McLeod racing as well. Highest I-rating driver in the field, currently 4th. And I think he is done with his qualifying run, so he'll start no better than that. Out of the names that I also recognize, we got Matthew Pluck, and I think I remember seeing Sam Devantier racing in quite a few series on SimSpeed TV as well. Matthew Brunt, of course, in second place, the winner of Top Split broadcast at Lebanon in week 1. So this is looking like a very competitive field, I have to say.
And have a look at how close the times are together as well. Peak times in the 29.6s. Ewan Baker, I've seen a lot of racing actually. Ewan's one of those names that I sort of didn't talk about very much, never had anything to do with, and then sort of in the last 12 months I've done nothing but talk about the guy. So learning a lot of respect from him. Matthew Pluck, I always see Matthew Pluck getting around as well. He's down at the tail end of the field, but it's really, really good to see. One of the key factors is about tonight as well, we've got double the splits here tonight than we had last week, up by 2 to 4 splits. So that's a big boon in terms of the driver numbers, and I think it's going to be because of the Aussie time slot and the Aussie swing on the schedule. The schedule's actually got, I just had a quick look through it again, it's going to be Sandown and Bathurst to finish as well, Reese. So big Aussie swing at the tail end of the schedule.
Absolutely. Well, this is the grid for the 15-minute race to come. Ewan Baker and Matthew Brunt on the front row. We have Harrison Mitchell starting out of 3rd place alongside Mitchell McLeod. Behind them on the 3rd row, we have Josh Horton and Mark Taylor, with Caleb Gatoa starting alongside Sam Devantier in his KFC livery. Paul Saragi and Zachary Burge are rounding out the top 10. Very nice Castrol livery there. Francisco Garcia and Jason Lane, 11th and 12th. Peter Vanderberg and Matthew Pluck starting on the 7th row. Ben Doherty and Leo Duncan on the 8th row. Duncan, the first driver to not set a time in qualifying, the second being Aidan Ford, starting out of the final 17th spot on the grid. Now, of course, it's a rolling start in the GR86 Cup. Short formation lap here at Winton. Only need to negotiate the 3 last corners before you get things started. But once you get started, Scott, man, it starts to get twisty. It starts to get cramped very quickly.
Yeah, it does, and the key thing is obviously that rolling start as well. How soon does Ewan Baker take off down the back straight? You notice one thing as we were kicking through there was the Kiwi Sim Racing drivers, 3 of them in the field, all 3 of them teammates. These guys, all 3 of them have run NASCAR as well together, so you know they work together quite a lot. They've got a really, really good partnership going, and they're very, very good friends as well. So you want to be sitting there quite happily chatting away to both Pluck and Doherty from the back end of the field, saying, "Come on, guys, where's the talent gone?"
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see how far up the field they make it in the next 15 minutes as the field pulls away behind the AI-controlled iRacing pace car. Someone's a little bit slow off the mark there. It looks like Caleb Gatoa making sure that he's getting off to a clean start there. That has delayed things for the back half of the field. They're already weaving to get some heat into the tires. A very cold track here at Winton, as we saw in the warm-up. It is 19 degrees Celsius out there who is going to get the best run into the first turn as we prepare for lights out and going on into turn 1. Ewan Baker puts the power down, and we're racing at Winton in the GR86 Cup. Immediately moving to protect the position is Matthew Brunt. Looked like a good start from Mitch McLeod, who's trying to keep himself in it. They just keep giving each other enough space through the first couple of turns, and McLeod has the run. Meanwhile, look at that switch back there from Caleb Gatoa. He's looking to make up places here on the first lap, but he's not going to do it like that. Sprawled across the track, that's created a crash in the second half of the field. Oh no, cars all over the place here through turns 3 and 4.
And the difficult part was he tried to do something about it, and then all of a sudden the ABS and the traction control kicked in, so he was trying to lock that thing down and just completely and utterly unsighted for the people behind him. Disaster start for a number of cars. The leaders have got through. Baker, Brunt, McLeod, Mitchell, Horton rounds out your top 5 at the moment, but the field's been majorly impacted, majorly broken up early.
Yeah, it has. Well, the battle is still on here for the top 5. Ewan Baker holding on to the lead from Matthew Brunt by only about 0.4 of a second, and Mitchell McLeod still sitting pretty there. McLeod might have a chance for second place, considering Brunt just went a little wide out of the third last corner, but doesn't look like he's made up all that much time as they make their way into the last 2 turns of the lap. Double right-hander, that's very difficult to get right. Got to be right on line and be very careful with your inputs. Lap 1 complete, and aside from that crash for Caleb Gatoa, we haven't seen much in the way of incidents yet.
Yep, but they have managed to finally settle themselves down and start setting their sights forward. Brunt's managing to go away with Ewan Baker at the moment as they get all over the curves, manages to hang on to it, covers to the inside. McLeod's out of shape and dropping through the field. Lets a couple cars go, but eventually catches onto the car.
Well, the turn 2 exit curb at Winton is known for not being great, and I think that's damaged McLeod's car. Meatball flag for Mitchell McLeod, and he's going to have to pull over, I think, and retire from the race there. Just took too much out of turn 2 here. This is the view for Caleb Gatoa on lap 1. He tried up the inside, it just didn't work, and then, well, when you're across the track like that, holding your brakes isn't going to do much.
No, I mean, he's always going to roll forward as well. But like I said, traction control, ABS kicked in, so it's trying to prevent those cars from shuddering. So, yeah, McLeod's suspension, his day is done in terms of things, and it's the left front corner of that car, which just smashed on the ground. I think he was really struggling to keep the car underneath him before he retired as well. Difficult night, my word, that just exploded all at once. Actually, he had no drive as well after that broke something, for sure.
Yeah, indeed it did. We're going to get another view of it. No, we're not. We're going to look at the Vermilion Motorsports car here. My apologies. Was looking at a couple of different things there. We're keeping an eye on the Vermilion Motorsports machine as they make their way down to the final. Oh dear, Francisco Garcia also with a spin. That's no good for them. Meanwhile, through turn 1, Mark Taylor and Sam Devantier side by side. They managed to avoid the turn 2 exit curb. Nicely done. That was a nice clean battle between those two.
Yeah, and don't forget Mark Taylor last week had a lot of trouble in the rain at oh my god, the British tracks at Brands Hatch it was last week. So this is what it looks like going through turn 1. This is McLeod on board. As you can see, just picked up the throttle, bounced off the curb, didn't settle. And he's just got no control of that car. Something's unbalanced, he's struggling for drive, the car's not really going forward at all. That's the right thing though. Make sure he finds a gap before getting off track.
Yeah, indeed. Good on Mitch McLeod for doing that. It's a shame that he won't compete further in this race, but he certainly had a red-hot go of it, as he always does. The fight's still not over between Devantier and Taylor here. Taylor holding on to the position, but could Devantier come back at him? That is the question. The battle for the lead is on as well. Ewan Baker rapidly having to defend from Matthew Brunt here. He's trying to keep up momentum through the corners, but remember, Brunt a previous winner in this series, and he'll certainly be having a red-hot go at taking the lead as we reach almost 10 minutes remaining. It's just flown by the first third of this race.
Yeah, have a look at the difference between lap times in terms of our leaders as well. Ewan Baker just had a 129.946, Matthew Brunt 129.937, so 9 thousandths of a second in terms of lap time, albeit Brunt's getting a little bit of that draft assistance. The lines, though, that the way that they're attacking the corners, if you have a look at turn 3 there, was Ewan Baker actually arced it into the corner a lot later, whereas Matthew Brunt sort of settled the car nice and early. So Baker's attacking the corners on the brakes, whereas Brunt's balancing the car and looking for a reasonable drive off. Two different approaches to things. The way they manage the curbs is rather similar. And have a look at Ewan Baker's car wiggling under the brakes again. So it just shows you with these cars, driver skill, different driver styles. There's certainly a time to apply both of them, but they both work.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And there's so many lines possible through this section here at Winton, but you have to focus on the exit of the final right-hand hairpin. You've got a reasonably long straight in these cars to gain some time. Brunt makes up more time in the braking zone. You see how hard he's pushing on the exit. He is running beyond the curves on the exit of that corner. He wants this victory. I'm sure Ewan Baker is having fun, but at the same time feeling a little nervous as he continues checking over his shoulder.
He just made a mistake, didn't quite get the car settled into that last corner, so again, Matthew Brunt's going to make time. But for me, the only way he's going to get the job done right now for Matthew Brunt, he's got to seize upon an opportunity that's got to come from a mistake. The best way to do that, he's got to be a fraction closer, a touch too far back at the moment. And Ewan Baker, look at the car bouncing over the curbs. This will present the opportunity. I said there needed to be a mistake. Mistake has been made. Baker's not going to cover it. To the inside for Matthew Brunt. Gets the car down there. He's not going to get the momentum off. Touch of contact. And they all survive. Great racecraft all around.
Yeah, very good stuff. Ewan Baker gave Matthew Brunt just enough space and not an inch more. Shows you how hard the racing can be in these cars when you have the right talent behind the wheel. This has been a very entertaining race so far, and it only stands to get more than that considering this battling between the leaders is starting to let Harrison Mitchell and Joshua Horton into the fight.
Yeah, so they're just sort of sitting there watching at the moment, not really much of an opportunity, and Taylor's a little bit too far back, so at the moment his best opportunity is to finish in 5th. He just needs to lock it down, make sure everything's nice and smooth. Devantier's made a fair few spots off of the opening. Remember, there was all that drama on lap number 1, and Leo Duncan didn't set a time in qualifying, remember? Must have picked up an off-track, couldn't set a valid lap time, up 8 spots to 8th place as well, Reece. So a couple of guys sort of moving through the field, there's been some advantages made, and even Zachary Burge was, I think, involved in that thing on lap 1 as well.
Oh, Harrison Mitchell has spun. Oh, you just saw it in the background there. Mitchell spinning across the front of Josh Horton. Horton moves into 3rd, but he might have picked up some damage to the front of the car there. It looks like Mitchell has gotten back up to speed, but he'll have to face off against Sam Devantier here, who's been rapidly losing time to Mark Taylor over the last few laps. This will be another thorn in his side that he'll be looking to try and surgically remove. Let's hope. Meanwhile, turn 2 exit curb seems to not be taking any more victims this time around. That's a real shame for Harrison Mitchell. He was running very strongly, just lost it by himself, it seems.
Yeah, I just went back and had a look at it as well. So his right rear tail light, that brake light on that side just gets clipped right there. Oh. No damage to Josh Horton's Vermilion Sim Racing car, so he looks okay. Looks like he's not really lost any pace, so he'll still be relevant here, and that battle at the front's not going away either. And then check this out. Always an opportunity. Got to keep yourself in the session, got to keep yourself alive. Sam's done that now, and now he gets to apply the pressure.
Indeed he does. Let's see if the switchback happens here. Focusing on a late apex, momentum at the exit of the corner. It's not quite there for Devantier, and Mitchell is protecting the inside line down the straight. Moves to the racing line at the braking zone, but he's not allowing Devantier a clear way through. There's so much that goes into defending in a car like this.
And it's not covering the inside all the way. You don't want to be on the right-hand side of the road on the turn-in. You want to cover it enough so it dissuades enough, and he's certainly doing that. The other problem, though, was that he didn't rotate the car down at turn 10 correctly, and he was in just a fraction deep. That gave Devantier an opportunity, and then Devantier dipped a tire into the dirt on the way out, lost all that momentum. That he had a huge amount of momentum. Definitely a huge opportunity at turn 11, overdrove it slightly, opportunity disappeared. So it's back and forth with the mistakes, back and forth with the racecraft. He's still in with a shot, though.
Yeah, more than a shot, I'd say, because I think Harrison Mitchell is a little bit shaken after that unfortunate error. All of this battling is allowing Mark Taylor to jet away from them, now occupying that 4th position. For the time being, they will stay in line.
Josh Horton just made a mistake on that most recent lap as well. He's dropped about a second back, nearly a second back to Mark Taylor, and Taylor's taken some more time out of him as well. So there's an opportunity here for Mark Taylor. Podium's not decided just yet. And remember, we still got 5 minutes left to go on this one, Reese. That's going to equate to at least, I reckon, probably another... We're looking at close to 4 laps. I think we'll only get 3.
Yeah, looking like it, as the leaders are currently on their way down to the final corner. No change in the fight between Mitchell and Devantier, but Sam does get slightly better exit out of that corner. Doesn't quite have the momentum to fling one up the inside at the last 2 turns. Winton, despite having many heavy braking zones, isn't the easiest circuit to pass on. I did mention overtaking opportunities at the top of the show, but they often come a bit more difficult than drivers who aren't familiar with this place realize. You've got to rely on the driver in front making a mistake or getting a bad run, as Ewan Baker just had coming out of turn 2. Still, no opportunity for Matthew Brunt to get by. The straights are just too short in that section.
Yeah, right there. I mean, he's close enough. The problem for Matthew Brunt is he's not got a really good last sector, so by the time they get down to turn 1, turn 2, he's just a touch too far back. If he can just tighten that up a bit, be a fraction better coming off the last corner, it really pressures Ewan into nailing that first complex of corners. If he does, nothing that Matthew Brunt can do, but the closer Brunt can be, the more likely a mistake from Ewan Baker's going to be. He's been too far back and he's already made a couple. If he can be, and I'm talking 2 or 3 meters closer, I'd shove my nose in for sure.
Yeah, like you said at the top of the show, you got to be aggressive to make moves in this car. It doesn't matter what track you're at, let alone Winton, where aggression is required for success in any case. Such a twisty track.
It's a shame for Matthew Pluck and Ben Doherty, though, the teammates for Ewan Baker. Whilst he's skipping off down the road and certainly talking to them, it's not really opened up for them. The big key, though, I think, is the pass that looks like it might be able to be made is Devantier on Harrison Mitchell. He's still there, still feeling that rear view mirror. And again, he has a really, really good turn 11. Now he's right there at turn 12. And again, he's rotating the car better. So what's happening at the moment is Mitchell's having to bail off the throttle mid-corner because he hasn't got the turn, he hasn't got the bite he needs, and then he gets back onto it. By the time he does that, loses all the drive off, and he's gained a car length. He's gained 2 car lengths in the last couple of corners. Devantier's right there. Cannot afford a mistake right now.
Oh, so close through turn 2. Nearly saw a repeat of what happened to Mitchell McLeod there. And you see how much Devantier is using the inside curbs there. I think that cost him a little bit too much momentum transferred upwards into the suspension. It's very easy in this car to do that. It's a car that likes to be on a stable platform. You can't be too aggressive over big curbs in this thing.
Yeah, one of the big things my teammates and I ran at this car at the Nürburgring 24-hour last year, and we have a data engineer in there, and one of the big differences he was saying was I was the quickest in the car, and we were trying to get our data across to spread it across everyone. It's not actually the initial brake application and the initial throttle application, it's actually how you come off both pedals. You want to trail off the brake pedal because you want to allow that weight to rotate, but you want to tell the car exactly when to rotate, so it's coming off it. Yeah, you need to be a little bit careful, a little bit accurate with getting onto the pedal, but the key is actually coming off of the pedal correctly.
Yeah, if you want to learn how to trail brake effectively, this is probably the best car to do it in, as well as stuff like the Formula V and the Ray FF 1600. Plenty of the lower class cars have that, as it is the final lap between Ewan Baker and Matthew Brunt, fighting for victory all race long. They have not let each other go. Again, Brunt gets a slightly better run out of turn 2, but he can't do anything about it into turn 3. Baker's all over the curbs here, trying to round out the line through these corners as much as he can. Brunt, not the first time we've seen him dip wheels into the gravel. Yeah, he's got to have a go at the hairpins here.
Yeah, it's got to be turn 7. Absolutely got to be turn 7. So he's got to be accurate here. Not too much curb. Swing out wide. Change the lineup. Look what he's done. Now he's closed a few feet. Now he's right there, rapping on it. I just have a go. Just send the car. Just get wide down here. That squares you off a little bit. Get down the inside. Shove the nose in. Still not an opportunity. But again, Ewan's having to cover. He's not got great exit right now. And that gives Matthew Brunt an opportunity. Always don't do what they're doing unless you're too far back. And that's the key. He's given himself an opportunity. I don't think it's going to eventuate, but he gave himself an opportunity, and that was the key for Brunt.
Yeah, certainly was. Here we go then, up to the final couple corners. Ewan Baker, defensive on the way in. How aggressive is Brunt going to be? They draw alongside, but Brunt's too wide. Baker's going to keep it here. Oh, but round the outside again comes Matthew Brunt. Compromises the exit from Baker. I don't think there's going to be enough momentum here for him to take the lead by the line, but it's going to be a drag race. It's going to be so close. Oh my God!
He got it!
He's 0.002 of a second. That's ridiculous.
Word.
That is insane. What a fantastic finish. I mean, it was building, but still felt like it came out of nowhere. It was all about getting the better exit round the outside, slightly straighter run out of the corner for Matthew Brunt, and that's all it came down to at the end.
He's behind.
Yeah.
Right here, he's behind. If that start-finish line is moved 5 meters further back, he's behind. He's still behind. He's still behind. He's in front now.
It almost looks like a dead heat. Thank goodness for timing to the 1,000th and 10,000ths of a second. Otherwise, we would probably have dual winners of the race. Full credit to Ewan Baker, though. He defended like a lion, didn't he?
Well, there was 2 keys to it. Number 1 was he defended like a lion, but number 2 was he was at the right place at the right time, right, for Matthew Brunt. So that's the key for him. I mean, yeah, he forced him into a mistake. He forced him to drive hard, but that built up and it built up and it built up over the entirety of the last lap. And that wasn't done in one corner. That was set up over an extended period of time. That takes a very good driver to do.
Yeah, certainly does. Well, officially 0.003 of a second on our overlay timing between Matthew Brunt and Ewan Baker for the race victory. Josh Horton finishes in 3rd place. Mark Taylor in 4th. Great drives from the both of them. Harrison Mitchell, if it weren't for that spin, he'd have surely been on the podium, but he once again put on a great defensive drive versus Sam Devantier. Paul Saragi finishes in 7th place. Leo Duncan, meanwhile, up from 16th to 8th. That's a brilliant drive from the number 12. Jason Lane makes it into the top 10 from 12th, as does Peter van der Berg. Zachary Burge, meanwhile, lost 1 place, finishes in 11th place. Aiden Ford started right at the back of the grid, gets 12th for his troubles. Francisco Garcia had a spin on the way to 13th position. Ben Doughty in 14th. Matthew Pluck and Caleb Gatoa finish the field. Unfortunate for Caleb getting the spin on lap 1, and Mitchell McLeod found the turn 2 exit curb, got a mechanical black flag for his troubles, and is our sole retirement. Next up, we are at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. Make sure that you tune in to SimSpeed TV for that next Thursday, 4th of April. I'm looking forward to seeing how the cars handle this place.
Yeah, it's actually really, really good race because, again, lots of long doubling back corners. Turn 2 in particular. I've done actually a fair bit of driving in the Toyota 86 in both the Production Car Club and the Toyota 86 Buttkicker Cup. It's not the first time we've gone to Oschersleben in this cup. This is a perfect track for racing these cars. Again, similar to Winton, but the track's a little bit wider, presents you some more opportunities, a little bit longer, and the opportunities are better. Got to be accurate at all the chicanes, got to take the curbs correctly. There are ways to take them incorrectly, and you've also got to be aware for those moments at turn 2. The key factor is the braking zone from turn 1 to turn 2 is probably one of the most dangerous braking zones in this car on the iRacing platform. It takes skill and mastery to get it done, and a lot of practice.
Indeed it does. The ones who practiced the most came out on top tonight. That concludes our running for the GR Buttkicker Cup here, but we've got V8 Veterans coming up later on tonight as well. So if you're looking for more sim racing action, stay with us on SimSpeed TV in about half an hour's time. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin with me in the comms box, Jay Kennedy bringing you these pictures on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, bye for now. We'll see you next time.